guys, SimCoder here, and today we are going to move on our Uber series, and we are going to learn how you can show the data from the history. So everything from the map, the route, the name of the driver, the driver or the customer, and everything that has to do with it. So yeah, it will be an interesting lesson, and in the future lessons we'll start moving onto the ratings, to the paying system. So yeah, but right now let's get right on with the video and go into our project. The first thing that we are going to do is to actually get the right ID from the view holder that we already did. We used bundle, and for that we are going to use to open the history view holders, and I'm just going to show you what we did. So we use the put extras feature. So we pass on the RideId with the name RideId. So when we want to get this extra on the history single activity, we simply say that we simply state the name of that extra, which in this case is RideId, and we pass it along to any variable that you want. And the variable that we want is RideId. So let's make it string. There we go. And now up top, above mmap fragments, we are going to create the RideId, and we are going to say it is equal to getIntent dot getExtras dot get RideId, I believe, but let me just double check that. Yeah, it is RideId, so get that and copy and paste that, because with these variables one wrong capital letter can be disastrous. So yeah, RideId. What? It is giving an error. Yeah, it is get string, not just get. I was making a mistake there, and that way it would return an object and not the variable that we want. And now let's move on and actually connect all the variables that we need in the activity, and this includes obviously doing all the find view IDs. And I'm actually going to skip ahead so that you don't have to watch through this all, so I'll see you in a second. So now that's all said and done, make sure you have the code like mine, and we are going to add a user ID up top, and this variable will serve us to do a lot of things. Let's call it current user ID actually, and we are going to use this user ID to actually find out if the user is the customer or the driver. And yeah, we'll find out how to do that in a second, but this is just so that you know exactly why we are doing that. And yeah, so Firebase auth get instance dot get current user, that's always the same, and get UID. Okay, then we are going to start working on the database reference for the history. And so history info db equals to Firebase auth, Firebase reference, Firebase database, I'm sorry, and let's just create the variable. And yeah, so private database reference, okay, and yeah, I'm just going to grab the database here and show you what the database reference will be. So we have the history child, and then we have the RideId, and yeah, the RideId is the one that contains all the information. It has a couple more things than you should have right now, which is the destination and the location. and I already run this code, and that's why I have it there, but don't worry about that. We'll learn how to do it in this lesson. So yeah, for now, that's all said and done. Let's go back to the project and actually finish the database reference. So Firebase database dot get instance dot get reference. This is all the same. Dot child history, which is the main child of the history part of the code, and the child RideId, which we got via the extras. Okay. And now we are going to call the get information and get ride information, I'm sorry, and yeah, we are just going to create it. So click Alt Enter on it, and you'll be able to create that method. And I made a mistake there, let me just correct it. Okay, so now in here we'll have the listener for the history info ride info db, and this listener will be of the type for single value events, and we are using single value events because it will allow us to more easily get the childs within childs, and that's for the location, which you already have a glimpse of. And yeah, so we are going to use that because it becomes a bit easier for us to deal with childs. And for now, we just create the if data snapshot dot exists, as we always do. Okay, and now we can go ahead and actually do the for. So for database reference child. Okay, so 2 points, data snapshot dot get children. And now the way it works, it's just the same as a regular value event listener, as we always do, which we normally use a map for it, but we have to use an if to get the child. So the first child that we are going to actually be doing is the customer child, and as you can see, you use if child dot get key dot equals customer, and that's, yeah, we have the customer, and then we have the driver which has an ID in it, and we use child dot get key because that gives us the name of each and every single child. So yeah, let's open that if up, and now we simply get the customer ID from that child, and we say child dot get value dot to string, and we get that. Okay, let's just create the string for the customer ID and the ride ID because we are the driver ID because we are here, so might as well. Okay, so yeah. Now we are going to move on to the part where we make the distinction between the customer and the driver. So yeah, we say if the customer ID is different from the user ID, the current user ID, then we know that the user is not a customer and it is a driver, and because of that we show things that are related to the driver. Okay, so that it will be the rating, the paying button, so we'll decide which users to show what in this moment. So now we create a variable of the type user, driver, or customer, just so that we know which is the user type, so user, driver, or customer. And if it is different, then we know that the user driver, the current user is a driver. So yeah, that will allow us to mess with the database if you want to. It is just a small pointer so that we know exactly what we are dealing with at the current moment, because we are using this activity for both the driver and the customer. So that's really important. And now let's just copy that and do the same thing for the driver. You just have to change the variables and the names of everything. So it shouldn't be too hard for you to do. So customers, okay. And now we can actually go ahead and copy and paste that because we need the if for every single uh, text view that we want to to populate. And so in this if, what are you going to actually add first? So you can do the timestamp first. Yeah. So we already did the timestamp in another video. I can remember which. But yeah, we get the timestamp, which is a set of numbers, and we pass it along to a function that we already created in the previous ride ride date, exactly, in the previous lesson. And that function will transform that set of characters into something that we can read and actually understand, so a date in and of itself, because a timestamp is just a set of values, and that doesn't make a lot of sense to us. So let's just copy the get date and paste it right here. It should be working just fine, so you don't need to make any alteration whatsoever, and call get dates with the value of the timestamp, and there we go. So next up we are going to show the user information, and to do that we simply go up here and type get user information, and we are going to pass two values onto it, and the first one being the customers and the second customer ID. And in here it isn't, there's some errors here. So here it isn't all capital letters, customers, and you must pass exactly like you have on your Firebase database. So customers with a C, capital C, and the S at the end. So make sure you have one just like this. And next up, you are going to create again for the driver, because if you are the customers, we are going to show the driver, and if you are the driver, you are going to show the customers. So we need both of them, and this is just to make the distinction between the two. So driver ID instead of customer ID, and simply click Alt Enter and create the method. Okay, and now we are going to change the names that are displayed here, because the way they are, they don't tell us much. So other user, driver, or customer, and this is the first argument, and then other user ID, user, like that. Okay, so next up we are going to create a database reference for this user that we passed here. So we say database reference and other user TB equals to Firebase database dot get instance dot get reference dot child users dot child other user, driver, or customer. And now finally we place the ID of said user. So yeah, this will be the database reference that we need. Now semicolon at the end, always. And now let's create a listener for a single event value. So as always, and we are going to use a single event value throughout this activity because we really don't need the other ones, and this is much more manageable and easy to work with because you don't have to account for changes in the code. So if data snapshot dot exists, then we are, instead of doing the for, we are going to create a map, because in here there are no childs within childs that we need to worry about, and because of that it is much more easy to just call a map and be done with it. Objects, map, and now simply make that within parentheses, and data snapshot dot get value. Okay, so now we start working on the ifs. As you can remember, we do if map dot get whatever key we want. So in the first case will be the name. It's different from null, and this is just so that the app doesn't crash if there isn't a name to work with. This make sure that doesn't happen. Then we say name username dot set text map dot get name dot to string, and that's it. Now let's just copy and paste this twice for the phone and the image. So first of all, phone, and make sure you change everything that you need to change, don't forget any, user phone, and now for the profile image URL, again change it wherever you need to change. And now we are not going to use the set text, obviously you are going to use glide for this. So glide.with get application dot load, and it is going to load this URL that it gets from here into the user image. Okay, so now that's all said and done, and we can start working on the destination and displaying the route within the map that we have. So the first thing that we are going to do, and let me just check, there is an error here. There's one too many. Okay, so now let's learn how we can save to the database the information that we want. And it is really simple because we already have everything that we need in the record write activity, in the record write function inside inside the history activity. So you can just not the history activity, driver map activity, I'm sorry. So you can come to the record write function inside driver map activity, and it is inside here that we are going to do everything that we need. So we are going to create location. The first one that we are going to do is actually destination, not location. So destination, and we are going to call the variable destination, and this gives us the name of the place there where the customer wants to go. And next up, you are going to say location from and let. Okay, and we are going to say pickup location, pickup let and long, and make sure this variable is set to global. I believe I changed it without being in a license, so make sure you do, and all you have to do is to move outside the function where it is used and say let long, pickup let long. Okay, so, and now these slashes allow us to create childs within childs, and I'm going to show it you because I already have the code, I tried it. And if you say location slash from slash let, for example, it creates a from inside the child location, inside of the child, and then a let inside that child. So it is all that does. It is quite useful, so let's do it again. Now for the longitude. So longitude, and now instead of from it is to, and instead of pickup location it is destination, latitude and longitude. Okay, this is all said and done. It should be working by now. And now let's go inside the history single activity and learn how we can display this information. So the first thing that we'll need is to create two variables of the type let long. So the first one will be destination let long, and the second one will be pickup let long. Okay, and yeah, let me just check one thing. Okay, so now let's go inside here, inside the get ride information, and create another if, because for the destination it is just the same as this one, so we can say destination, and as you can remember, this is the name of the place where we want to go, the user wants to go. So ride location. Okay, and now just copy that again, and instead of destination it is going to be location. And the good thing about using a for here is that we will be able to reach the childs inside the childs, which is exactly what we need for this thing right here. So the first thing that we are going to create is the pickup location, pickup let and long, which is new let long, and now we need to pass both variables inside that new let long. So we need to pass the latitude and the longitude as being doubles. Let me just crop that out, and now we say child, and it works just as a database reference. So you can say child open parentheses and say from, then child, because we need the latitude first, let dot get value dot to string. But now we need to do one more thing, which is to pass it into a double, because let long, each let and long is of the type double. So to do that, we simply say double dot value of, and that's all said and done. And now we can create the same thing for the longitude. So let's go in here and say long. And now yet again we can copy and paste that and do the same for the destination. So instead of pickup location it is destination, and instead of from it is to. But besides that it is exactly the same. Okay, so yeah, now we are going to draw the routes, and I'm going to get a few things ready before that. So we need to first of all implement a routing listener. So routing listener, and an error will appear, so you have to enter alt enter implement methods. And I have the library that we are using down in the comment section if you've missed the previous lesson where we used it. So yeah, so one more thing is to add map mmap equals to Google Maps, and now we can start working on the routing. So yeah, we are going to go inside the driver activity, because there we have everything and we are just going to copy and paste it. So we need everything from the erase polylines to up here, including these variables. History single map activity, and we can just replace everything that's here, and no error should pop up because there's no reason for it to appear. Everything is the same. And then we need yet another function, which is, and let me just try to find it, which is this one, get route to marker. So copy and paste that. Can be here. Okay, and now inside here the waypoints aren't these ones, So it is going from the pickup let long, which we just did, to the destination let long. Okay, and remove this from here. It is not. Oh, remove new let long because you don't need it. Okay, that's the problem. So now we simply call it inside here, but not without doing a check first. So we are only going to do the route if a destination has been set. And if a destination hasn't been set, you can remember that the location will be 0, 0. And it is 0, 0 because that way you know that no one will pick it, because 0, 0 is in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean at the coast of Africa, so no one will pick it there. So we can simply say if destination let long different from new let long 0, 0, then we can call the get route to marker function. And yeah, I believe that is all. I wanted to do a couple more things, but I'm not, because this is getting kind of long, so I'll leave it to a separate video. Let me just double check everything. Okay, so no, actually there's one more thing needed. We need to set the polylines. The polylines, which are the things that actually draw the lines within the map, this variable right here, we must initialize it inside on create. So polylines equals to new array list, and that's it. That's we are done with it. So now let's actually run the app and see if everything checks out. So the app finished loading successfully, and first of all, let me just give a big shout out to one of you guys, which I believe your name is Zenis, and I'm saying thank you because you pointed me to this emulator, which is the Genymotion emulator. So big shout out to you It is a beautiful emulator. So now let's just call the Uber and see if everything checks out. So call Uber. Okay, so pick customer. We are going to move on to the drive end. Okay, and let's just check the database to see if everything is working. Okay, so the from and the to appeared with no problems whatsoever. And now let's go inside the history, single activity, and everything appears. And now the map, as you can see, doesn't zoom into the position that we want, so we'll take care of it in the next lesson. But yeah, it isn't going where we want. So I'm going to stop here and try to zoom in exactly where we need to, and I'll get back to you in a second. Okay, so I found Kentucky finally, and now let's zoom into Louisville, and the route should be appearing there, and it is. So yeah, we'll learn how we can show it in the next lesson, as I've said, to make sure the map looks exactly like this when you open up, so that you don't have to worry about zooming in, zooming out, whatever. So yeah, that's not really reasonable, and we'll actually place some markers there from the start to finish, and make sure that if the user only has a destination, then we pickup location, then we work around it. So thank you all very much for watching. Please remember to subscribe, donate, give a like, anything helps, and I am tremendously grateful to all of you that have donated. You have been tremendously generous, and I'm saving up to build a PC, a tower, and I don't actually need it, but for what I do in college and my work, because I only work with Java and C mostly, and assembly. So, but yeah, I'm trying to make this channel better. I'm trying to make it faster, pushing out videos, so that will help tremendously. and not just only the tower, but also a microphone and a video camera to do live streams in the future. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope to you again tomorrow, and ciao.